Partners, written by Rupert Aspden. Exterior, day, Calais, France, overcast. Liz, 28, pretty without much effort, dresses for function over fashion, is driving an ice cream van out of the Eurostar terminal. Ralph, 26, wearing an apron, hair carefully styled, is sat in the passenger seat.
Why were you late this morning?
I had to rush my grandma to the hospital.
Oh my god, is she okay?
Yeah, she was just late for an appointment.
Well, why would you say it like that? That's not a good enough reason. Consider this a written warning.
1, you're not my boss. We're equals. And 2, that's a verbal warning.
Fine, it's a verbal warning.
I'll need that in writing.
Why do you always have to do that? Sooner or later, I'm going to make you feel stupid because I've had it up to here.
He lifts his hand up to eye level.
Is that high? What's the scale?
Okay, up to here, then.
He thrusts his hand upward and bangs it on the roof of the van. The view out of the window gets more and more desolate.
I don't know why we have to do this stupid article.
Because we still need the business making money, I could hardly say no to free advertising. We need to give this 110%.
Newsflash, it's impossible to give 110%. Even just factoring into our ice cream duties, the most we could give it would be 105, 106%.
Ralph shifts uncomfortably in his seat.
I wish you told me you weren't coming home last night so I knew the bedroom was free. That sofa is killing my back.
I didn't want to tell you. I thought I'd relieve you of the loneliness.
You don't have to protect me. If I get lonely, I'll relieve myself.
Liz smiles but says nothing.
I need you to drop me off at Dan's later. He's got a spare room, so I'm staying there for a while.
The road gives way to a muddy track. Rows of tents come into view. Liz presses a button and a cheerful ice cream van version of O Sole Mio plays out through the exterior speakers. They enter the refugee camp. They drive through the muddy camp. The playful tune bellowing from the speakers sounds more and more haunting as they go. They turn a corner and see the newspaper reporter's car.
They're here.
Cut to exterior refugee camp. Liz brings the van to a stop. Ralph turns the music off, then reaches into the glove box and pulls out an engagement ring. He hands it to Liz, who slides it on. Then she picks up her phone and looks at it, shielding it from Ralph's view.
You really don't have to protect me. I've got thick skin.
You have incredibly thin skin. You're practically amphibian.
Liz opens the serving hatch before shouting in a perfect Arabic accent.
Allah Karim Majana, free ice cream.
Children and camp residents start making their way over to the van, as does the reporter, female, 35. A photographer is with her, but he wanders off to take pictures.
Just try to be cool. We need this to work.
Failure is not an option.
No, you're right. It's usually thrust upon us.
Hi, I'm Suzanne from the Dover Express. I'm just going to ask you guys a few questions and take some photos, then we'll be out of your hair.
Oh, please, spend as much time in our hair as you'd like.
Our hair is very accommodating.
Hers especially. She used to be a primary teacher. She had lice pretty much the whole of 2013. The school actually sent her home at one point, gave me a pamphlet.
Liz calmly looks at Ralph.
I'll put the kettle on.
He turns and puts the kettle on. They juggle handing out ice creams to the refugees and talking to the reporter.
Thank you for doing this. Your readership is a market we want to move into, so we really appreciate the exposure.
Anyone with an ice cream van can show up outside of school and expose themselves to children. We've done that. Now we want to take the next step.
Don't write that down.
So you guys are engaged?
Yes.
Ralph puts his arm around Liz.
I couldn't ask for a better fiancé. She'd find out.
He laughs nervously.
Okay, settle down.
A crowd of camp residents is gathering around the van.
Why ice creams?
They put smiles on people's faces.
When I was growing up, I only ever had ice cream on a holiday, 2 or 3 times a year. That's not something I want for any child.
How do you make money though?
We work hard to sell ice creams back in Dover, and we spend most of the profits funding this.
The kettle boils.
Tea? Coffee?
Coffee, please.
Ralph gets the sugar out.
We enjoy it though. We get to spend a lot of time together.
You're obviously very close.
Sometimes we even finish each other's sentences.
He realizes his mistake.
You'll have to take our word for it, though.
The reporter scribbles on her notepad. Liz notices a man and a young boy stood watching some distance away from the crowd.
Why aren't they coming over?
Some might be scared to come while the other boys are here.
Maybe he's being bullied. You should talk to them, see if you can help. I'll finish the interview.
Look, if I knew how to solve the problem of bullying, I'd be a very rich man.
All that lunch money you'd still have.
Ralph goes to put sugar in one of the mugs.
Oh no, no sugar for me, thanks.
What?
I'm trying to be healthy.
You've always had sugar.
Yeah, well, people change.
Ralph is irked by this but doesn't say anything in front of the reporter who's finishing her notes.
Sugar?
One, please. Having had first-hand experience with the refugees here, what do you say to those back home who read headlines recently suggesting that they've been desensitized to violence and are more likely to commit violent and sexual crimes?
Based on our experiences, the people making those claims don't have a leg to stand on, figuratively, unlike one of the residents here who quite literally doesn't have a leg to stand on.
And the only crime he's guilty of is breaking and entering our hearts. Certainly no sexual crimes, because I've asked him, and he's completely
He makes a downward curving motion with his hand.
like a Bobo doll with arms. Milk?
Yes, please.
Do you still take milk?
Yes.
Really? I don't have milk anymore. Cutting out dairy, much healthier.
You hate black coffee.
Ralph hands the reporter her drink.
Yeah, well, people change.
He smugly takes a sip of his coffee, but as soon as it touches his lips, he spits it over the floor and screams.
Ah, that's hot! I'm scalded! Quick!
Get some ice cream on it.
Ralph grabs a spoon and staggers to the freezer. He scoops ice cream and smears it across his lips and tongue. The photographer returns.
That's disgusting.
My mouth is scalded, Liz.
He's fine, carry on.
You seem quite young to have an ice cream van. It's an odd career choice.
We were completely disillusioned with the pursuit of traditional careers. The backstabbing, the bitching. It felt impossible to climb the corporate ladder without pulling off the people above you.
Tell me about it.
She's pulled a few people off head office.
Why don't you go and wait in the car?
If you mention a corporate ladder to these people, they wouldn't even understand what you're saying.
Well, a lot of them don't speak English.
He's annoyed but bites his tongue. The crowd gets bigger and more boisterous.
I think we'll let you two do your thing, and we'll step back and get some pictures of you in action.
Cut to exterior. Moments later, Ralph and Liz continue giving out ice creams as the photographer takes photos, directed by the reporter.
Here's a question for you. Seeing as you know so much about languages, what's the most commonly used language on the planet?
He starts shaking his head in anticipation of her wrong answer.
Body language?
He struggles to hide his annoyance, having not expected her to guess his trick answer correctly.
No, it's Chinese.
If I'd said Chinese, would you have said the answer was body language?
He shakes his head unconvincingly, then changes the subject.
Let's get everyone in a photo.
He starts conducting the children to turn and face the photographer. The photographer realizes what's happening.
On 0, ready? 3,
Quick, wipe your face.
2, 1.
Ralph rushes to the passenger seat and wipes his face with a tissue.
Hurry up.
Ralph darts back to get in the shot, but slips on the floor and disappears out of sight just as the photo is taken.
Ah! My back! My back's gone!
Liz helps him up. He shrieks in pain.
It's completely gone! I told you, it's sleeping on that bloody sofa!
Right, so not the coffee all over the floor then.
She sits him down in the passenger seat.
You're just annoyed because you know you'll have to investigate why there was an unsafe working environment and potentially have to fire yourself.
Never. I'd resign. The last thing we need is me taking me to a tribunal.
Try to relax, your muscle has probably just seized up.
Do you know what the strongest muscle of the human body is?
Relative to its size, or?
Never mind.
I know you're trying to make me feel stupid, it's not going to work.
She leaves him and continues handing out ice creams. He finds the most painless position, bolt upright, facing forwards. Any deviation from this position causes him intense pain. The children disperse with their ice creams.
That man and his son are still there. I'm going to take them over an ice cream each.
Well, be careful. Remember what the reporter said. We don't actually know much about these people. Maybe they are dangerous. We don't even know if that's his son. It could be his dwarf sidekick or a face-on dog in costume.
Why do you assume the dwarf is a sidekick?
Hollywood.
You blame Hollywood for everything. Maybe you should stop being so impressionable.
Do you think so? Yeah, you're right. Maybe I should stop being so impressionable.
She leaves the van. Ralph is left in silence, bolt upright, facing forwards. After some time waiting, Liz's phone goes off in the driver's seat next to him. It's a text. He can't move to look at it. Another text comes through, and then the phone starts ringing. He grits his teeth and reaches for it. He screams in pain. It's Grandma calling. He answers it.
Hi, Jean, it's Ralph. Liz isn't here at the moment. Do you want me to pass on a message? Tomorrow? I thought it was this morning. Okay. Why? What of breasts? Off the top of my head, basters, or maybe brasset, which is borderline because it's an old word for brassard, which obviously I wouldn't count. Oh, you mean a mammogram? Yeah, I'll let her know. All right, Jean, she'll be in touch. Bye-bye.
He hangs up and screams as he puts the phone back. He lifts his watch to look at the time, screaming as he does so.
Liz? Liz!
He puts a discarded lolly stick between his teeth and lifts himself out of the van. Cut to exterior refugee camp. He shuffles his feet across the muddy ground, staying as upright as possible. The reporter spots him.
I think we've got everything. If there's anything else we need, I'll be in touch, and we can always meet back in Dover.
Ralph nods. She puts her arm out to shake. He obliges, desperately trying not to scream. He continues shuffling forwards. He shouts Liz as best he can through the lolly stick. The children spot him and start playfully tugging at his arms. He bites down harder on his lolly stick to stifle his screams. He forces a smile as a single tear rolls down his cheek. His calls for Liz become cries as more children approach. They climb on his back and hang on his arms. He drops to his knees, lets out a final whimper, and collapses on the ground. Cut to interior, inside a tent. Ralph wakes up after passing out from the pain. The man, Hassan, and his son, Amir, are with Liz, sit looking over at him. Hassan passes Ralph a small beaker of liquid.
Drink it and make you feel better.
An ancient remedy?
It's ibuprofen. This is Hassan and his son Amir.
Ralph angles his hand up and shakes Hassan's as best he can. They are finishing off chalk ices and have photographs in their hands. Hassan passes Liz another photo and she shows one to Ralph of a woman.
Amina.
She always wanted to get away, live with her brother in England.
The gravitas of Hassan's following speech is repeatedly undermined by him stopping to take bites of his chalk ice.
She said England is a good place, good people, good chance. I did not believe. She was right about people. I was afraid to leave. We fight, fight, fight. I was working a good job, good money. I don't take risks. I was wrong. I took biggest risk.
Hassan is upset. His son hugs him.
One day you'll understand he will not hug me. She was right about people. I know she is right about this place.
Liz puts her hand on Ralph's shoulder. He turns to smile at her, forgetting about his back.
Ah!
Cut to exterior, back inside the ice cream van. The hatch is closed and Ralph and Liz are sitting in the front seat, getting ready to leave. They both seem subdued.
Your grandma called. Thought it might be about her appointment, so I answered it.
Liz is immediately awkward.
It was. She wants you to take her to it tomorrow.
I'm sorry I didn't.
It's fine. It's not my business. I don't want to fight.
Liz turns the engine on and they start driving out. The camp residents are waving and smiling along the muddy track.
That was very brave of you to come out and look for me like that.
He looks out the window trying to play it cool, but struggles not to give away his delight at this comment.
Seriously, you're lucky you didn't damage yourself.
He carefully turns to face her.
A real man makes his own luck. I plan to breed magpies and keep them in pairs.
She smiles.
I guess you win. You wanted me to feel stupid.
Cut to exterior back in Dover, England. They have left the Eurostar terminal and are driving through Dover in silence. They pass a sign for a car park that reads Short Stay Immigration Removal Center. Cut to exterior, suburbs of Dover, England. They're still driving, this time in a more residential area.
How are your lips?
My whole mouth is throbbing. Feels like I've gone 10 rounds with Mike Tyson.
You never last 10 rounds with Mike Tyson. If Mike Tyson was genuinely trying, you'd be dead within 2.
Rounds of golf that I won at a charity auction.
How did your mouth happen on the golf course?
I got in the way of Mike's backswing. So he punched me in the mouth.
Nice. Is this it here?
This is it?
Liz stops the van. They smile and hug. They both pull halfway out of the hug and look into each other's eyes. She looks down at his lips. He looks at hers. Ralph closes his eyes and gently leans towards her.
They look really sore.
He recoils and touches his lips.
They are. They still burn.
She realizes what he was doing.
Right. I better...
Did you think I was going to kiss you?
Oh, you noticed. Great. Yes, I did.
Liz laughs. Ralph gets out, walks to the front door of the house and rings the doorbell. He looks back at her. A man answers. Ralph smiles at him before pulling a photograph from his pocket. He turns to Liz, who is now standing by the freezer. Up from the freezer pops the head of Amir, who looks around and spots his uncle, Abdul, at the door.
I'm here!
Amir runs from the van and leaps into his uncle's arms. Liz follows. Abdul shakes their hands.
Thank you, thank you.
Abdul puts down Amir, who rushes inside and is heard being greeted by other family members. Abdul disappears inside, then returns with an envelope and hands it to Liz. She has a quick count of the money inside, and they're set off back to the van.
It's been a good month. Do you think you can give this 105, 106%?
Ralph smiles.
Which month has 28 days again?
They all do. They have at least 28.
Damn it, Liz. You are unbearable.
End.